What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Fantasy Football Game Show brought to you by Front Yard Fantasy here on Better Sports Network. I'm your host, Simon, joined by the entire Front Friday crew, John Luke Garofalo, Joey Wright, and Tim Wright here with us. And joining us as well, coming back for his second time on the Front Yard Fantasy Game Show, we've got our friend Chew Russell with us. What's up, Chew?
What's up, everybody? Glad to be back and looking to talk quotes, if I can guess them.
Oh, we're going to hit some quotes today in our game of Quotey McQuoteFace. Before we get into that, everybody, if you're not already following our friend Chew, go and fix that right now. You can find him on Twitter at Father Dynasty, and you can call him Daddy if you like. It's on his merch over there. Check him out as the host of the Father Dynasty podcast and as a writer over at goingfor2.com as well. We got some people in the chat ready for today's show. Our chat historian coming by, letting us know that this is Chew's second FYF appearance. What's up, Craig? The last time he was on, JL did best him at Fantasy Fortune, but he'll be looking today to make a victory with his former nemesis. John, Luke, and Chew are going to be on a team today, going off against
a little victory, baby.
Could you say make a victory like Borat, Simon? Because it sounds like something Borat would say.
I'm going to be honest. Something's not clicking in here today, and the words are having trouble. So that may not be the last time that something slips out in.
Is Borat in your brain?
Borat's on my brain. I shouldn't have watched it 4 times last night when I couldn't sleep. I just thought the familiarity of it the third time would for sure lull me to sleep. But the third time's when it really gets funny. It's the fourth time that finally get you sleeping. We got Carlos in here with a Friday front fjord fantasy fun.
Fjord.
That's like an American fjord. That's like those are the little inlets in your pond in your yard.
We got fjords here, not for meters.
Jay in the chat said, "Happy Friday, FYFers." What's up, Jay? And Swamp said, "Happy Friday." Meant an exclamation point in there. And also had a question for us before we get into our game for today. In his Jimmy John's league, so this is just as important as the Smash League, but if that helps you determine what player you're going to go with, this league is with fellow Jimmy John's employees. Who should be Swamp's last flex? Christian Kirk, Gus Edwards, Jaden Reed, or Kendre Miller? Chew, I'm going to throw this one to you first. Of those 4 players, who would you be plugging into your flex this week?
I'm not going to think too hard on this one. My heart wants to tell me Jaden Reed, but it's Christian Kirk. Kendre Miller is the first time we're going to see him, hopefully, and I don't know what that's going to look like. As we talked about the pizza spinner that might be leading the backfield. We'll see how that goes. And Gus Edwards, I don't have tremendous faith in that Ravens backfield as a whole after Dobbins is down. And Christian Kirk, he blew up last week. I think he'll probably fall somewhere between week 1 and week 2, but I think he's a trustworthy guy there.
Man, this is tough for me. I am torn between Jaden Reed, Kirk, and Gus Edwards. All 3 of those players. Joey, help me out. Are you agreeing with Chew here that it's going to be Kirk, or are you going with somebody else?
Okay, it's full PPR. The safe and responsible decision here is to go with Christian Kirk. But have fun to play Kendre Miller because he's going to break out this week for 1 week, and then Alvin Kamara is going to come in, and we won't see much more of him this year.
Honestly, that would be so much fun.
Play Kendre Miller, but no, Christian Kirk, so you should play.
If you drafted Kendre Miller, you might as well get your 1 week of play out.
Playing him everywhere this week.
Get your value. Tim, who are you starting here?
I'm going Gus, actually. Ravens are playing the Texans, aren't they?
The Colts.
The Colts. I mean, Colts are
even better.
Going to be, dude. Gus is going to be fine. Justice Hill's dealing with his toe injury, so there's nobody else. Give me the safety of Gus for my flex.
We've got a Kendre Miller. We've got a Kirk. We've got a Gus. John Luke, of those 4 players, break this tie. Who are you throwing in? Or go with Jaden Reed to make it fully split for Swamp.
Oh, man, now I don't know. I had a decision, but now you've thrown a whole wrench in it.
If you say Jaden Reed, this could be literally worthless for Swamp. Which might be the outcome.
I'm going to ride with my boy Tim. I'm going to go Gus Edwards. I do think Christian Kirk is a solid play this week as well. I choose between those 2 guys out of this group, but I would lean Edwards.
We got Dame stopping by in the chat saying, "Thank God it's Front Yard Fantasy." Glad to have you in here, Dame.
What up, Dame?
Dustin stopping by with the hashtag Team Joey. And Dustin also saying, "Love seeing Chew on the show." Well, we love having Chew on the show. All right. Well, guys, I mentioned it before. Chew alluded to it as well, but we got a full game of Quotey McQuoteFace for today. We're calling it Quotey McQuoteFace fully loaded. Instead of the half a show of Quotey and half a show of Vague, we've got 3 rounds of Quotey McQuoteFace coming your way today. It's going to look a little bit different than how it's looked in the past, though, if you've played with us before. The first round is going to have 4 quotes in it, 2 for each of our teams. This is going to be in the multiple choice format. I'll give you a quote, I'll give you some context, and then 3 options of who said that quote. You and your teammate have to suss out who said it. Get it right, you're going to earn a point. These are going to be worth 1 point in round 1. Once we go through these 4 quotes, we're going to go into round 2 where the point values double because there's only 2 quotes here, 1 for each team. Now, these are also going to be a bit more difficult because instead of choosing from multiple choice, you're going to be filling in the blank on these quotes. We will, again, give you the quote. We're going to give you who said it, but there's going to be a crucial piece of information or a name missing from this quote that you will then have to fill in. Get that right, your team is going to earn 2 points. And then in the last and final round, it's going to look very familiar if you played with us before. I'm going to give you a quote, no context, no name. You and your teammate will have to tell me who said it and why they said it, worth 1 point each, up to 2 points in that last round as well. That last and final round will be the only round where your opponents can steal. Now, they're going to be able to steal your points only if you miss both parts of your clue. We're not going to give away partial points there. But if you miss both parts, it's going to be available for your opponent to come in and try to steal those points for maybe a swing at the end to determine our winner. You guys ready to get into it?
I think so.
Let's do it.
Well, before we do that, a couple reminders. First and foremost, I said it once. I'm saying it now. If you're not following Daddy, go and follow him right now on Twitter at Father Dynasty and get your Dynasty Daddy sweatshirts. I just love those, Chew. I'm going to keep on mentioning them. But go and follow our friend Chew on Twitter and check out his work at Going for Two and the Father Dynasty podcast. After you do that, head on back over here to our YouTube channel at Front Yard Fantasy. Hit that subscribe button, and there's a little notification bell that's cute as hell and helps make sure you never miss any of our shows live every day at 3 p.m. Eastern time right here. Same time, same place. And if you guys are looking to get some last minute advice for your week 3 DFS lineups, head to fantasyalarm.com/NFL to start your free 7-day trial of their all pro subscription. You can get that started right now at fantasyalarm.com/NFL. With that being said, you guys ready to get into our first game of Quotey McQuoteFace fully loaded?
Let's do it.
Yes.
Also, Craig has a question as the historian that he's putting to the show hosts. He says, does this count as its own game or still get combined with vague descriptions for the record books? So in the past, we've done Quotey McQuoteFace plus vague descriptions. Does this get its entire own category or do we combine it with the records from that previous game?
If I lose, combine it. If we win, standalone.
Okay. Everyone agree with that?
I would love to be in a record book. Are you kidding me? I don't care if it's for a week.
Any record book.
Exactly.
Albert in here with hello, everyone. What's up, Albert?
Albert.
Welcome in. Glad to have you here. All right, I'm going to pull up this first quote. In today's game, the Wright bros are going first. Once this gets pulled up, you guys are going to have to guess who said it based on the options below you. Are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, here's your first quote. If you have the answer, you can let me know. When asked how the Steelers offense can get their mojo back, was this Mike Tomlin, Matt Canada, or Kenny Pickett that said this? Joey and Tim, I need you guys to determine who said this for me.
I mean, this just feels like came right out of Mike Tomlin's mouth, right?
It feels like it. I didn't hear it because I was dancing in the woods for the whole
Nice.
weekend. So
How'd that go for you, buddy?
it was great. So I'm going to probably be pretty bad with this, but it sounds like a Mike Tomlin quote. I haven't heard Matt Canada speak, and Kenny Pickett, no, just not see.
I'm not sure his hands could grasp the microphone to be able to speak into it. So
without a
I
doubt.
feel like it's Mike
They have to
Tomlin.
hold it
This
up to
feels
his
like a
mouth.
Mike Tomlin quote.
I'm in. Yep.
Final answer?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, they're going with Mike Tomlin, but I am sorry. It is offensive coordinator Matt Canada. You know, the person responsible for getting the offensive mojo back said,
Yeah, but it doesn't feel like it. And if he's the offensive coordinator saying that, I think he's genuinely saying it. He's not trying to be a dick about it. He's saying, if you have the answer, please tell me.
somebody call me. My job is on the line.
I'm desperate. I'll do anything.
Chew, whenever we look at this Pittsburgh Steelers offense, it has been wildly disappointing through the first 2 weeks. Najee Harris can't seem to get it going on the ground. The passing game is pretty awful. I know they lost Deontay Johnson in week 2, but do you think there's better weeks ahead for the Steelers offense and the fantasy options that are included within that group?
I think better weeks will show themselves, but I don't think it will necessarily be as easy to guess when they're going to happen. I mean, the rushing game has been pretty stagnant as well. Of course, Najee not being a very explosive and exciting runner. Jalen Warren honestly being more exciting, but still not that exciting. And with Deontay Johnson going down, I mean, Pickens has stepped up in this past week, but I'm not a big Kenny Pickett believer. I don't really know how he's going to elevate this offense, and I don't see it getting tremendously better over the rest of the season.
Joey, I was drafting Najee Harris more towards the end of the offseason because it just seemed like the volume's going to be there. The volume's going to be there. The volume's going to be there. But after the first couple of weeks, I am concerned about some of that volume being ceded to Jalen Warren. How do you view this running back situation there in Pittsburgh?
I think the Steelers have had two pretty tough matchups to start the season, and I think this is the week that we see Najee that we know. I think he's going to get some volume. I think Jalen Warren's involved. I think we saw it happen last year. It's going to happen this year some, but I'm not giving up on Najee Harris yet.
All right. Well, guys, unfortunately, that is no points for you on that one. But Chew and John
Can
Luke,
I see the quote again?
Yeah.
If you have the answer, you can let me know. And then didn't he say A after that?
Yeah, true,
You
right?
can let me know, A.
He is Canadian.
Then we would have known.
Yeah, we cut it off. We cut off that part of the
Is he
quote. I thought it
actually
would be
Canadian?
too obvious.
He also talked
or is
about
that
Tim
just a
Hortons for 45 minutes before that.
They named the entire country after him. I'm pretty sure he's Canadian.
It's just his stage name. He actually had a much more obscure country as his last name, but no one would recognize it. He was.
Azerbaijan.
I was gonna say Azerbaijan.
Matt, Nova Scotia. Wait, that's a country.
Nova Scotia is kind of like a country if you look at it incorrectly. All right. Well, Chew and John Luke, are you ready for your first quote?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. It effing hurts. That's our brother. That's my brother. And it's a blow for the whole team. I'm losing Nick Chubb to a devastating knee injury. Was this Myles Garrett, Deshaun Watson, or Jerome Ford that said this?
What are you thinking, Chew?
I kind of feel like Myles Garrett would speak that way, and I've
Me
never
too,
heard Jerome Ford speak, and I think Deshaun Watson cannot afford to drop an F-bomb, so I think it's probably Myles Garrett.
That's actually a great breakdown. I had the same inclination. I was trying to decide if that was just because it was Myles Garrett's listed first or not.
I think Myles Garrett.
I like it. Let's go Myles Garrett. I agree with you, Jerome Ford. There's no way that they let him talk after one game.
Did you see the newspaper headline about it was on a Cleveland newspaper. It said, if Deshaun Watson can't be the superstar we paid him to be, can he at least be Baker Mayfield or something along those lines?
Oh,
Man,
Just
What, like
rude
shot to the heart.
going in on him. You guys are going with Myles Garrett here, and Myles Garrett is absolutely
Hot
correct.
damn.
wait, that's a picture of me. Where'd you get that?
Yeah.
We have access to your phone. As soon as you agree to come on this show, you actually sign a non-refundable waiver of all rights to everything on your phone. And that's
Fair
the
enough.
correct word.
Non-refundable waiver to every rights on your phone.
So I know as a fantasy company, you can pay USA Today to get likeness images and whatnot from the NFL. Who are we paying to get all these shirtless photos? What service is that we're
Joe,
getting?
you remember when you took all those pictures of your feet?
That's what we used them for. Got it. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you, Simon. Sorry
It's-
to bring
a
business
lot of
onto the
money.
show. I appreciate you answering the question, though.
Yeah, some players we can trade directly with, others we have to sell them and then pay them with that money, but it just depends on their preferences here.
So Myles Garrett's an innie, huh?
Aside from this beautiful picture of Myles Garrett, Jail, I wanted to ask you how you're feeling about this Cleveland Browns running back situation now with Nick Chubb out for the rest of the season. Jerome Ford stepped up in that game, had the big 69-yard run, but now we've got a couple days of knowing that Kareem Hunt's going to be joining this backfield and a couple days of tweets reminding us that everybody thinks Kareem Hunt sucks. What do you think is going to go down here?
I think we'll see something similar to the Chubb-Kareem Hunt split, but just much more muted. They were going to see that the Cleveland Browns are going to have to lean into relying on Deshaun going forward and moving a bit away from the run game. I don't know if they can do that at this point, but I think they're going to try to, and we'll see probably some volume go down. But for either of those two running backs or any running back who has opportunities in his offense, there's something there. There is opportunity there.
Tim, do you have any preference between these two backs? Is it the Jerome Ford show, like everyone who picked him up is hoping for, or is Kareem Hunt going to make this a problem?
I think it is going to be Ford's backfield by a hair, not enough for me to really want to ever start them. you spent your fab on Ford for a reason, and he did have that flash of a run. So I think it's his. The offensive line is still pretty darn good. They're going to milk clock as much as they can to keep these games quick and help the defense out a little bit. So, I mean, that's their bread and butter. You see that, all that butter right there.
Lathering himself up.
They need to at least try to run.
They got plenty of butter there in Cleveland. All right. Well, we had some questions pop in here in the chat that I wanted to answer before we moved on to the next set of quotes. Albert wanted to know George Pickens or Nico Collins, full PPR. Chew, what are you thinking here? Who are you throwing in your lineup?
It feels weird to be asked that question, but it's a new season, and I guess we have to think about this. It's pretty crazy. Despite Nico Collins's incredible game, I'm going to lean George Pickens. I did not think I would say that this year, but I think with Deontay Johnson out, I believe in Pickens. I believe in him having a tremendous target share, and I thought it was going to be a little more Freiermuth involved, especially with Pickett and how he did things. But it's Pickens, and it's close, but still Pickens.
Joey, are you agreeing with Chew here, or would you be throwing Nico Collins in?
I love Nico Collins, but the problem is I'm worried about CJ Stroud's. What is it, his shoulder or his elbow? So I'm going to just take the safety of Pickens with Pickett. And I don't mind the matchup for Pickens this week.
Ray Gamer in here had a question for us as well. He's scared of the Giants schedule and the Giants after seeing them play 3 times and wondering if he should trade Saquon, Christian Watson, Christian Kirk, and David Montgomery for Austin Eckler and Jalen Waddle. Waddle would be his wide receiver 3 behind Olave and DK. What I think you mean is Olave and DK would be your wide receiver 2 and 3 behind Jalen Waddle. But besides that, the rest of it still stands. So would you trade, John Luke, I'm going to throw this one to you, Saquon Barkley, Christian Watson, Christian Kirk, and David Montgomery, 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs for Eckler and Waddle?
Well, I think the way to look at this is do the 2 running backs add up to the other value of the 1 running back, and same with the wide receivers here. So that would be Saquon plus David Montgomery for Eckler. Oh, that checks out. The injury, yeah, it is definitely a lot of value to give up, but you are trading that you're not really trading away injury risk. You're taking on injury risk too. And then what was the other one? Christian Kirk and Christian Watson, Christian Bros, for Waddle, and I would do that all day. I would probably do this trade if you have the depth to handle it. It's the one case, because you could devastate yourself at running back here.
You need 2 more startable running backs to do this, not just 1. Yeah. You got to have at least 2. Tim, are you agreeing with JL here?
I mean, Eckler, high ankle sprains make me nervous. That's going to be nagging all season. You're going to have that questionable mark on all of your lineups right before it starts, and then you put him in, and then he doesn't play at all because it's still hurt. So that makes me nervous. And then Waddle, he's coming in and out of the concussion protocol. I think he's practicing today. So that's positive news, but the way the Dolphins have handled concussions in the past make me think they want to be extra careful, especially with one of their star wide receivers. So this is a very risky trade. If they stay healthy, it's a smash trade for me, but it's nerve-wracking.
Joey, Baby Santa had a question in here for us. Welcome in, Baby Santa. Said, you taking Mike Evans or Cooper Kupp rest of season in half PPR? Cooper Kupp coming back from injury in a couple weeks here. Mike Evans off to a hot start.
I was hoping that Mike Evans was going to come up because I want to shout out one of our good friends and always in the chat, Joshua Cho, who called Mike Evans Pat a Cake because he's Baker's man. And I thought that was an incredible nickname. So, wow, Joe, way to go, buddy. That was incredible.
How has Baker Mayfield been in the league for this long? And that's the first time I've heard that joke.
Pat a Cake. Oh, love it. Listen, I'm going to go Mike Evans. I'm not. Every day I decide if Cooper Kupp's coming back, and I'm not a doctor, so I should not be the one deciding. I don't know why the Rams keep calling me and asking me. I'm a little worried that he's not going to be back on the field for 4 or 5 more weeks. I know Mike Evans is out there catching balls every week. I'm going to take Mike Evans at this point.
Chew, are you taking Mike Evans as well, or are you rolling with Kupp, the mystery box that is Cooper Kupp coming back into this season?
I'm in lockstep with Joey. The man knows what he's talking about, and talking about great nicknames too. So it's Mike Evans. Yeah. If that's another one that feels weird to say going into the season, but an unhealthy Cooper Kupp, I don't trust it.
Patty cake. All right, well, guys, we are going to get into our next quote here. More multiple choice for these next couple. Tim and Joey, the Wright Bros. It is time for some redemption. You ready for your next quote?
I hope so.
Let's redeem ourselves.
Let's do it. Toronto Dave stopping by to say hello just in time for the next one. What's up, Dave? Glad to have you in here.
We had a Canada question. You missed it, Dave.
You did. It was about Matt Canada, but same thing.
Do you know him?
Here's your quote. I haven't been this happy playing football in a long time. Was this A, Derek Carr, B, Baker Mayfield, or C, Jimmy Garoppolo, talking about adjusting to life on his new team?
I feel like it's got to be Derek. That's where my gut goes immediately. Jimmy, no, he's handsome in the offseason. He doesn't care about anything.
He's too handsome. What's there to care about?
Exactly, right? Baker, I could see it, but I feel like
They're 2-0.
But I feel like I remember seeing Derek go there.
And there's a little bit of a tell with two Raiders, a former Raider and a current Raider being in here. There's no reason for Jimmy Garoppolo to really be happy. We'll go with Derek Carr, Tim.
Locking it in?
But Baker was so not happy in Cleveland.
Yeah, but he could have been also not happy on the Panthers.
Derek was not happy in Vegas. Okay, let's go Derek Carr.
Very much not happy there.
All right. Well, you guys would be absolutely correct.
Job,
Derek Carr is loving life down there in New Orleans, starting 2-0.
Let's go.
Tim, as far as fantasy goes, how are you feeling about Derek Carr leading this offense? Specifically, let's look at like the pass catchers: Rashid Shaheed, Chris Olave, Michael Thomas. It's not quite breaking down necessarily how I thought it was going to, but there's fantasy value to be had there. What are you doing with these receivers?
All offseason, I was like, Michael Thomas is still going to exist. And based on the communications they had together between Thomas and Carr, it made sense that both of them were actually excited to play football again, which it didn't seem like they were for quite a while. So I like Thomas. I know Olave is that dude. He is so much fun to watch. But if Derek Carr latches onto a guy and he wants to pepper that dude with targets, I think that might be Michael Thomas. And as far as the Saints offense goes, they get Kamara back in another week, dude. I think this offense is going to start to click, and I think this team is poised for a pretty deep run in that NFC South.
Chew, can we trust Rashid Shaheed? We saw it last year, and people said you can't trust him. He's just big games. And then this year, he seems to be Carr's preferred down the field target. Are you comfortable plugging him into lineups at this point?
I love Rashid Shaheed.
Yes.
Watching him last year, he's one of those guys where the obscure player coming in, especially on the Saints, you never know if it's going to be that depth wide receiver that, whether it's him or some of those other guys that would flash from time to time. But I love what he did last year. I just wanted him to get a chance to do a little bit more. It's a new quarterback. I was worried, but I mean, they got a great rapport with him. Michael Thomas is back, and it's still not eating too much into what Shaheed's doing. So love him.
Yeah. And Tim, to your point, Thomas, while he's not blowing the roof off the place through the first 2 weeks, he's got 11.1, 12.5 PPR fantasy points, been more than startable 2 weeks in a row right here.
Yeah, you didn't draft him to be your wide receiver one. You drafted him to be like a 3 flex at best. And that's what he's doing, which is awesome.
It's what you're getting from him. All right. Well, you guys got that one right. It is a tie game now, which means we're going to go back to JL and Chew for their next quote, trying to take the lead here at the end of round 1. You guys ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
Here we go. Yeah, we won, but stuff out there we can clean up and be better at. We have 14 more games to do that, to be the best version of ourselves. This is someone speaking on starting the season 3-0. Was this person Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy, or Kyle Shanahan?
Oh shoot! I turned off the post game interviews because I can't stand them.
Wait, so did you miss Andrew Luck in his Civil War outfit?
That was incredible.
No way.
And
Did it actually happen?
Yes, it happened.
Oh
my God.
He said the war's over. I'm doing pretty good or something like that.
That's unbelievable.
Oh man,
JL, what's jumping out at you?
all right,
I know you got a feeling
won.
here.
Goblins
Let
and
me
ghosts,
just
probably.
visualize what kind of energy I'm getting for this. Yeah, we won, but stuff out there we can clean up and be better at. This doesn't strike me as Christian McCaffrey. It strikes me as Brock Purdy or Kyle Shanahan. I can't pick between those two. What do you
I'm
think?
almost leaning more Purdy because I feel like if Shanahan was going to say it, he would have said it better and it would sound more intense.
Yeah, he would know exactly how many games they have left. All right, I'm with you. Let's go Purdy.
Purdy.
Pretty good point.
Final answer.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
I love the way you guys are sussing it out based on personality,
This guy
and
can
you are
count.
100% correct.
Classic.
This was Brock Purdy, baby.
That's where I was going.
On
For
this
the
point,
same
Brock
reason.
Purdy had arguably the best game of his regular season career last night, throwing 2 touchdowns, over 300 yards against the Giants, 1 to Ronnie Bell and 1 to Debo Samuel. Chew, is Brock Purdy a worthwhile starter in fantasy? Are we going to get more games like this, or is it going to be more 220-yard, 1 touchdown games for Mr. Purdy this season?
I was a buyer last year, and people were really concerned, thinking there wasn't enough. He wasn't out there enough to really prove anything. It was a flash in the pan. He did it against some pretty good defenses and into the playoffs. And he's showing now, if you give him a bunch of yak monsters in a Shanahan offense, all he has to do is work within that offense. And he's a very good decision maker. That's all you need to be in San Fran, and he can do it.
It's like Debo heard yesterday the hate being thrown his way on the show, and he was like, hey, watch this. Look what I can do after the catch. Look what I can do with the ball in my hands. Idiot.
I hate you, Sam Wagman.
He got mad at me, Sam, and Carlos. Carlos and his whole gang of friends out there. He was getting pissed at. But Christian McCaffrey in that game yesterday, I feel like every time I looked at the TV, I just thought, God, he's so good at football. God, he's so good at football.
Every time.
He gets touched, and then he's like 5 yards diving down. What the? How? The space doesn't exist. Like his yards are shorter or something. I can't explain it. It's crazy.
Joey, is this team a legitimate Super Bowl contender with Brock Purdy under center?
Absolutely. I mean, I think they're the shoe-in to win their division. And I know there shouldn't be like a butterfly effect, but with the Cowboys losing Diggs, the Cowboys become a little bit weaker. That defense is what's kind of keeping the Cowboys afloat, if you ask me. So I think the 49ers, for right now, for me, are probably the second, maybe even the best team in the NFC.
Damn.
What I'm trying to figure out right now is why Brock Purdy have a shirt on.
Yeah.
Good
Take some
point.
notes from Myles
He's
Garrett. Take your shirt off, Brock Purdy.
Show us
Show
your
us your
feet.
feet. We got the Tootsie Pop in here saying hi, friends. What's up,
What up,
Rachel?
friend?
Welcome in.
Rachel.
And we had some questions in here before we move into round 2.
Ooh.
Fill in the blank. Charlie wanted to know Najee or James Conner PPR. John Luke, who you throwing in?
Ooh, it's got to be James Conner at this point until Najee shows a little bit more. That offense shows a little bit more. I'll load up Conner.
Joey, are you agreeing here?
Oh,
Conner
God.
against them Cowboys, or are you going Najee in that matchup against the Raiders?
Oh.
No, I'll take Najee against the Raiders. I want none of that Cowboy smoke. Michael Parsons terrifies me as a human being and as a podcaster.
As a human being and a podcaster, 2 separate things. Chew, break this tie for us. You going Najee or Conner?
This one doesn't feel good, but I'm going Connor. They're both going to get the volume, but I just trust Connor despite him going up against that buzzsaw of the Cowboys defense.
And then, Tim, we talked a little bit about this earlier, but Charlie wants to know, would you be comfortable starting Jerome Ford in any format this week? Do you have comfort throwing him into your lineup?
Who do the Browns play this week?
Titans, right?
Yeah, the Browns play the Titans, which have a
Ooh, that's
tough
not
run defense, but they've been weak against the pass so far this year.
Yeah, I think that makes me pretty nervous, but I think he's going to have the biggest bulk of this running back room for the first week. So if you got to do it, you got to do it. It makes me a little bit nervous, but I think he should have the volume to be able to succeed at least a little bit. You're not shooting for the moon. 10 points, hopefully.
Tim, that feels like if you have to. Answer,
Really?
if I've ever heard one.
Really.
But week 3, we are already hitting the if you have to point with all of the injuries that we've had, especially at that running back position. All right. Carlos, and you're saying, me and the homies. Evo came and showed out last night after you and the homies talked trash on him.
That one,
yesterday.
except for the one homie. That was me.
Except for that one guy. All right. Well, Tim and Joey, I forgot who was on your team for a second.
Can
there,
you
Tim.
give Dale and Chew their point?
I can give Jalen and Chew their point. Thanks for keeping me
It's
on.
going to look so much better when we come back and win. So I don't want it to be like
2-1. These next ones are worth 2 points now in the next round. These are going to be fill in the blank. I'm going to give you the quote. I'm going to give you who said it. And I need you to tell me what player's name goes in that blank. Here's your quote. Before, you didn't have to really talk about the drop back passing game. And if he did drop back, you used to only worry about the scramble. Now he's throwing a deep pass. It just looks awesome for blank right now. This is from Devin McCourty. Who is Devin McCourty talking about, right, bros?
Feels like Lamar Jackson, but am I wrong? I mean, he is throwing darts downfield to Zay Flowers, which is absolutely delightful to watch.
It was the first name to come in my head too. the second name was Justin Fields, and then this quote does not apply to Justin Fields at all right now.
He's
So, but that's what I mean. Like, I was just like, okay, well, who do we worry about? The scramble.
it's got to be.
Lamar. It has to be Lamar.
It has to be.
Well,
Final.
do we have to have first and last name? If we say Lamar Jackson and it's just one name, do we get credit?
If you say the right player and the person in the quote only said a first name or last name, you'll get points.
I wasn't sure what the fully loaded rules were. So I just wanted to double check.
Yeah, thank you for checking. It's just like the movie. Lamar Jackson, locked it in?
Lock it in.
Well, you guys are absolutely correct. Devin McCourty is talking about Lamar Jackson. You guys sussed it out beautifully right there. And Tim, you mentioned what I wanted to talk about, which was this receiving core and specifically Zay Flowers. If you're starting one of these options rest of season, not just this week, is Zay Flowers the one you want on your team, Tim?
I think so. I wanted to see how it built out when we were doing all these fantasy drafts in the beginning of the season, but I think that connection is real. I think he trusts him to be that dude that has those legs to get deep past that coverage. I think it is Zay. I'm excited. Sweet.
JL, our Ravens fan up there, are you in agreement that Zay's the dude, or you got a little more optimism for maybe Rashad Bateman or Odell Beckham as they're coming back into the fold?
I do think that it will shake out a bit here. We'll see Rashad Bateman get worked in this offense a little more as he gets healthier, gets more comfortable. But until then, yeah, Zay is making the case for himself to be number 2 on this team. And it's hard to argue against that when he is getting open so frequently.
All right. Well, we had a question in here from Antonio before we move on to Chew and John Luke's next quote.
Ooh.
Chew, would you trade A.J. Brown and Kyron Williams for Justin Jefferson in PPR?
Yeah, I would do that.
That's sweet. That is so cool.
What Kyron has done to the fantasy landscape this early in the season is fantastic. I love it.
Just breaking it. There's always one player. Yeah, you're right. It's 2 players, and they're both on the Rams, an offense that everyone was just like, not me. You can take the Rams. Hands off.
This is the Seahawks of last year when Geno Smith came out of nowhere and all that. Yeah.
I feel like we were saying this all off season is that's where you find the value. It's those situations where it's very unclear.
Yep.
And the Texans, the Rams, that's where a lot of value is hiding this year.
Not much value on the Bills.
Not much.
James Cook
was a decent value on the Bills so far if he keeps it up.
Okay. All right. James Cook is fine.
One value on the Bills, damn it.
This quote's going to be blank is fine. We know it's James Cook.
Oh, damn it. Spoiled it.
All right. Well, Chew and JL, are you ready for your next quote?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Take that lead back for 2 points. I'm not going to sit here and defend my character. I know the type of player I am. Blank knows the type of player I am. I've played against him a bunch in the past, 5 years, 2 times a year. I love competing against him. He brings the best out of me, and I bring the best out of him. And it was really hard for me not to say I bring the breast out of him.
Bing the best out of him.
This was Minkah Fitzpatrick. Who is he talking about there? What goes in that blank?
Oh, man. Who did the Browns play again? We had Cincinnati and then Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Who are you thinking here, Chew?
I'm just trying to think of when it's talking about the 5 years, 2 times.
It's him in the past 5 years, 2 times a year. 5 times, 2 times a year. That's a good point.
This is Minkah Fitzpatrick. Here's the quote again, one more time for everybody watching and for you guys. I'm not going to sit here and defend my character. I know the type of player I am. Blank knows the type of player I am. I've played against him a bunch in the past, 5 years, 2 times a year. I love competing against him. He brings out the best of me, and I bring out the best of him. This is Minkah Fitzpatrick. Who is he talking about?
Any hunches?
Who's been on the Bengals or the Steelers for a long time?
5 years.
For 5 years, twice a year? Because Minkah Fitzpatrick's been on the Browns for his career, right? I think that's right.
No, Minkah on the Steelers?
Am I mixing? Who am I thinking of?
I don't know.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh, no. What's it going to be, guys? I need a name to fill that in.
You want to just throw a name out there, Chew?
When you were saying Bengals, you want to just...
Yeah, let's go with it's not Joe Burrow. Amari Cooper.
Amari Cooper, final answer?
Sure.
Good with that.
This was about Nick Chubb. Minka Fitzpatrick was the player that rolled up on his leg during that game.
That's
He was the
right.
player who made the tackle that caused the injury. He's been getting a lot of hate, and this was him coming out responding to that, saying there, me and Nick Chubb go back. We played each other 10 times over the past, and we bring out the best in each other. I'm not apologizing, and I don't think he wants me to. Unfortunately, you got that one wrong. You got Browns in your head, and I think that threw you off
Must
the
have been
track.
JL, will
Denzel
not
Ward?
sit here and defend our character, okay?
If there's one thing you should defend, I feel like it's probably your character.
Well, unfortunately, that's no points for you guys, but that does make this a very close game as we're going down the stretch here. Before we move into our final round of
Denzel
Quotey McQuoteFace, I wanted to ask you guys about other aspects of this Browns offense besides just the replacement running backs. Nick Chubb was the focal point of this Browns offense. It was an offense that ran through him and ran through him first. Now, there's a couple of different paths this could go. Do you think we see Jerome Ford and Kareem Hunt just plug into the same offensive system? Or do you think we're going to see Deshaun Watson start throwing the ball more, that his lead running back is out? Joey, how are you expecting this offense to adjust with their star player out?
I think it's going to hurt the offense from an NFL perspective, but from a fantasy perspective, it makes me a little bit more excited for Deshaun Watson because I think we're going to see him use his legs a little bit more and then throw the ball more. So for Deshaun Watson, I kind of like it, believe it or not. Losing Nick Chubb is terrible. And from an NFL standpoint, it's going to hurt the Browns. But fantasy perspective, it might actually help Watson. Watson.
Chu, are you more interested in any of the secondary receiving options here now? I think Amari Cooper was already being started in most leagues, but an Elijah Moore, a David Njoku, someone like that?
With how it's gone thus far, I mean, I know after Chubb had went down, you could tell they were immediately switching to, Ford was getting plenty of run, but compared to what he did week one, it was fairly comparable in terms of carries and touches. So they were really trying to air it out more, and it was pretty ugly. But that was also an in-game adjustment. Hopefully they have a week, and Watson's a little more on track with everybody. I do like Elijah Moore a little bit better, but that's probably about it. So like Joey was saying, should be good for Watson, but week to week, outside of Cooper, I don't know.
Starting Cooper and, as Tim said, Jerome Ford if you have to.
Yeah.
Get him in that lineup. All right, well, guys, we're moving into round 3 here, the last round of this game. The score is Tim and Joey 3, JL and Chu 2. It is truly anybody's game. And the final round here is going to look a lot like the Quotey McQuoteFace that you are used to. I'm going to put a quote up here. No context, no name. You guys will have to tell me who said it and why they said it, the context behind that quote. 1 point available for each. So there are 2 points up for grabs. And if your opponent misses both parts of it, you are going to be able to swoop in and try to steal one or both of those points. Tim and Joey with a 1 point lead. Are you ready for your final quote here?
Yes.
Let's do it.
All right. Before we get into that, the chat was all over that one. Scampers, Albert, Dustin, and Ray all getting Nick Chubb on that one. Nice job, guys. Here is your final quote. My goal this week is to say F it and go out there and play football how I know how to play football. That includes thinking less and just going out there and playing off of instincts. Tim and Joey, who said this?
Justin Fields. Yeah.
You want to give me some context?
You got
Just about the play calling going on there in Chicago with the coaching. They've had no design runs for him. I think actually for the entire season through the first 2 games. So I think it's Justin Fields talking about getting back to basics, what he knows.
Yeah, I believe he called himself robotic and not quite how he felt normally. So I think that's exactly it.
Well, there was more to this quote, Tim, and that's exactly what it said. This is Justin Fields and how he plans to turn around his early season struggles. I'm going to give you the point for the context there because there were a couple ways you could have phrased that. That's going to be 2 points going your direction. And as someone who drafted a lot of Justin Fields this year, it has been a rough first 2 weeks. Joey, talk to me. Tell me, is it going to get better?
I do believe it's going to get better. And I think it's going to be Chicago letting Justin Fields do what Justin Fields does. And until that happens, I don't think that Justin Fields is going to be competent. So if Chicago wants to continue losing games to get rid of Justin Fields, they're going to keep running the game plan the exact same way they have. So
Joe, I see you nodding
will
up
it get
there.
better if they let Justin Fields play? It'll get better.
Are you feeling similarly about the Justin Fields situation?
Yeah, I know. I know he hugged Luke Getzey on the field, so like apparently they're fine now. But I wouldn't be fine because I don't understand what they're trying to run with Fields. They've had a full season to see what he did well and what he did poorly, and they just need to let him run. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, the dude had literally magical runs last season where you would watch and your jaw would drop and you go, how the hell did he just run 70 yards there? Like, that doesn't make against the Dolphins. Yeah, I think that's the one that stands out in my mind. When I picture Justin Fields running for 70 yards, it's against the Dolphins every time. John Luke, the receiving options here in Chicago have also been quite disappointing through the first couple weeks. Is there any hope for, I'm just going to say DJ Moore because I feel like it would almost be insulting to even ask about Chase Claypool or Darnell Mooney at this point.
At this point, I feel like now's the time to ask about Chase Claypool after getting those 8 targets. There's hope. I think that it goes back to Joey's question: is there hope for the passing volume and for this offense to start clicking? The good news is there's enough talented players on this team for them to put it together. The bad news or neutral news is that I don't have a ton of confidence in their coaching staff. So unless we see more information along those lines, I'm worried. I think you're going to have just weeks where they pop off, and otherwise it's going to be a definitely lower than what you expected this season.
It feels absolutely like criminal what they're doing to Justin Fields there after what we saw last season. And now this week, it doesn't really feel like a get right game. 12.5-point dogs against the Chiefs in Arrowhead, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, what if they do?
Always bet the double-digit dogs. Always bet the double-digit dogs.
What'd you say, Tim?
I was going to say to that, their schedule, I was just checking it out. Like Chiefs, that's going to be kind of rough. But then they have the Broncos, Commanders, fine. Vikings can't stop anything. Raiders can't stop anything. Chargers can't stop anything. They've got like a midseason palate cleanser. So I'm hopeful.
They can get through these first couple of weeks. Maybe we see something happen there.
Yeah.
Chew, one more question about the Bears before we move on. There was a lot of hype around Khalil Herbert in the offseason. He's done all right so far, but there's also been excitement around rookie Roschon Johnson showing up through the first 2 weeks. How are you feeling about this Bears backfield, and which back would you rather roster the rest of the season?
I mean, shout out to my former Virginia Tech Hokie alum Khalil Herbert. I really was hoping you could have a bit more of a stranglehold on the backfield there, but I mean, with the guys they had there, I assumed it would be fairly balanced with Herbert somewhat leading it. Foreman, of course, being non-existent, and Roschon has been climbing the ranks pretty healthily. So I do think it is going to be more of a Herbert Roschon kind of balance, but Roschon has definitely earned his place in that backfield. And I can't say I didn't see it coming, but I wasn't as high on him as many people were, but I was glad to see it.
Man, these teams out here that picked up Roschon Johnson, Kyron Williams, Jerome Ford, they're just stacking up their RBs post-draft. All these undrafted guys helping you out in fantasy. We're going to move on to our last quote here. This one is for Chew and John Luke. Are you ready?
Yep.
No. Yes.
Here we go. We're going to ride the hot hand. Do I think it's sustainable? Shoot. His body is ready to go. I don't ever want to put an expectation on anybody. If he's got the hot hand on Monday night, we'll keep rolling with him. John Luke and Chew, who said this and what are they talking about?
You think it could be CJ Stroud? No, Monday night. Who's playing Monday?
I think we got 2 games again.
Oh gosh, that's the worst.
I love double Monday night football.
Maybe if it's good games. How about
You're right. You're right. That Browns game was just torture. Even before the Nick Chubb injury, then that just made it like the worst game ever.
Yeah.
So if we...
All right, you remember who plays on Monday night, Chew?
I'm fine.
I can't remember the NFL. I cannot recall the schedule from
the Steelers do, don't they?
Okay.
That wouldn't be a hot hand.
Eagles, Bucks, Rams, Bengals. Actual fun.
Hot hand.
If it's this coming Monday, unless it's talking about this past Monday.
These quotes are all timely and relevant. I would not throw a misnomer in here. This has been said since after at least the previous Monday.
Okay.
You think it could be Baker?
I was honestly thinking might be the Eagles backfield.
Oh, okay.
So if Gainwell's coming back and healthy, if that's
okay. Hot hand that's often used with running back.
I could believe that.
Which Eagles running back you think? Gainwell? That's what you mentioned, right? Okay.
Yeah, because they said he's coming back. He should be healthy, so that's who my guess is.
But it says we'll keep rolling with him, so this probably isn't the player coming back.
His body is ready to go.
It's probably Swift then, right? If it is the Eagles running back.
Which would be the hot hand. Yeah, that's
Which
true.
would be the hot
Okay.
hand.
Yeah.
All right, let's go with Swift.
Saying this, sorry, I need who said it and what they're talking about.
Oh, okay. Well, this
Got it.
is okay. They would be talking about DeAndre Swift. That's the context.
Yes.
And the author. So do you think it's Sirianni?
Yeah, I feel
Gotta
like he's
be.
mostly the one speaking. Yeah, for the team.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't
Yeah,
give
let's go.
the OC a chance to talk.
All right, Sirianni on Swift.
Sirianni on Swift is absolutely correct. It's Nick Sirianni, and if the
go.
Eagles will limit DeAndre Swift's touches,
That's
you
what he looked
guys
like when he was
sussed
young?
that one out beautifully with a little assist from Tim on the Monday night matchups. But that's going to earn you 2 points, make this a close game of 4-5. But unfortunately for you guys, Tim and Joey are taking it home with that extra point they earned in round one by a final score of 5-4.
You can't tell me that guy wasn't on Jersey Shore. No way.
I was going to say, was he in Varsity
Vacationed on
Blues?
the shore.
He doesn't want it. Yeah.
It was that pre or post Jersey Shore that he was on Varsity Blues. Craig said, "Is that a photo of Ryan Gosling?"
Oh, that's rude to Ryan Gosling. Come on.
Honestly, there is something like not famous Ryan Gosling about Nick Sirianni, which I guess he is famous now, so I shouldn't say that.
Poor Gosling.
This running back room for Philadelphia has been a little bit confusing. DeAndre Swift managers were very upset at first and then very, very happy with the work that he got in week 2. John Luke, when you look at this backfield, which back would you prefer to have rest of season? Gainwell, Swift, or we'll throw Boston Scott in there. And do you think it's going to be evenly split, or one of them is going to take over as the main guy?
It's Swift is the one I'd rather have, and I don't think it's going to be just Swift though. This Eagles team loves to use a bunch of running backs, and I expect them to do the same going forward.
Chu, are you in agreement here?
Yeah, I was pretty furious to see how much they were using Gainwell to start, and I didn't like the way that Swift ended up getting the chance to play. But I mean, he took an absolute stranglehold of that and had a career day. So I think it's definitely his backfield to lose. More of a 1A, 1B situation to Kenny Gainwell.
Joey, is Rashad Penny cuttable at this point?
No, this is the week that I think Rashad Penny breaks out. Because that's all this Eagles offense has shown me. Is I don't know what the hell they're going to do.
Flip the
and
side of the coin.
I think this week we will get a little bit better of a picture once Gainwell and Swift are both there. I think it's probably leaning more towards Swift. I mean, was 175 total yards he had in that game last week. You can't just ignore that. But why didn't we see that week 1? Like, it just makes no sense to me. So fire up Rashad Penny.
Joey's starting running backs this week are Rashad Penny and Kendre Miller.
Listen, Kendre Miller, I'm starting him in a lot of leagues. The Penny thing is a joke, but
Penny, for your thoughts. Well, Joey and Tim, congratulations on winning the first game of Quotey McQuoteFace fully loaded by a final score of 5-4. We have Mr. Scampers popping in here with some news. Jamal Williams was just announced out. Foster Moreau also doubtful. And I said it earlier on another show this week, and I'm going to say it now with the running back injuries. Now we add Foster Moreau in there. It's just Kendre Miller. Start Taysom Hill. Start Taysom Hill in week 3 because the tight ends are gross already, and he has got the opportunity laying in front of him this week. Chew, I see you nodding. Are you in on Taysom Hill as a week 3 start?
It feels bad, but it feels so good at the same time. Got to do it.
It does. It's like every year I'm like, F Taysom Hill. And then I go back to my waiver wire and I'm like, I'm playing Taysom Hill this week.
I remember week 3.
You can't stop because the dude can get it done on the ground, through the air, or through the air on the other side of the ball randomly. They just throw him in to throw a 1-yard pass into the end zone. I'm with you. Also, Craig popping in with the stat that today was my 199th show hosted. We got the big 200 coming on Monday, baby.
Whoa.
That'll be fun. All right. Well, guys, that is going to be it for us today. We'll be back on Monday with some more fantasy football game show fun. Until then, though, enjoy your entire weekend of football. And a couple reminders before we go. If you're not already following our friend Chew, Go and fix that right now. You can find him on Twitter at Father Dynasty and check out his work over at Going for Two and the Father Dynasty podcast. Chew, thank you so much for coming on and playing some Quotey McQuoteFace with us today.
Thank you for having me. Did not make the record books, but I want to be back next time. We're getting in there. Me and you, JL, all right?
Let's do it.
We're just going to keep making new games every time you come on. That way you can have the undefeated best record in
Never
a game.
get good at any of them.
It's Andy Bernard. It's like, well, no, if games are unfair, I will quit them, and then I will play the ones that I am able to win. So it's fine.
Then you play the fair ones. Before we jump, one more question in here from ASD. Wanted to know, would you do Breece Hall or Jonathan Taylor? Joey, you're winking at me, so you're answering first. Are you trading Breece Hall for Jonathan Taylor?
I'd do Breece Hall.
For Jonathan Taylor?
Yes.
On behalf of
on behalf of Jonathan Taylor, yes.
This is from Jonathan.
JL, would you trade Breece Hall for Jonathan Taylor? Let me rephrase this question from ASD.
I was just answering the question as it was posted to us.
You're right, Joey. That's on me. That's on me.
Yeah, no, I would not do this. I'd keep Breece Hall.
What about you, Chew?
Breece Hall.
Tim?
I don't know, man.
You want to. You want to. I want to. See it in your eyes.
I want to. Yeah, do it. Do it.
There's upside to be had for a back like Jonathan Taylor. There's just so much uncertainty right now.
I know.
If you got the depth to be able to add a Jonathan Taylor right now, then congratulations. But with most of my teams, the way they're shaping up, I am probably just holding on to Breece Hall. All right, guys, with that, we are out of here for this Friday. Go do Breece Hall for Jonathan Taylor if you'd like, and don't if you don't want to. We're not ones to judge. We will see you guys on Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. But until then, enjoy your weekend and adios, everybody.
I'm like 12 years old.